Welcome to R&R Relax and Respawn, the relaxing podcast brought to you by Respawn Please. I have never done this intro before. We will work on this, but we're going to push on from here. Welcome, everybody. I'm your host, Jesus, and with me is Ell. Ell, how's it going?
It's going good. You know, it's a relaxing Sunday when we're recording this. The first episode of this new kind of like, portion of the pod, and so I'm having a great day. It's nice and relaxed and chill.
Oh yeah, it's a beautiful Sunday. Yesterday was beautiful. Today is beautiful. It's just a fantastic time for right now. It's not too hot yet. I don't know what it's like for you in your area, but right now it's like sort of a good temperature. It's not getting into the 80s yet. It's getting into the high 70s, getting into like staying in the low like 50, or like getting into like the 50s, low 60s at night. So it's ideal right now.
Yeah.
Because if the moment it gets above 80 for me, I become miserable.
Yeah.
I just become miserable because I hate heat. I become angry. It's not fun. So right now it's ideal for me. I know that's only going to last for like another week because, you know, summer's coming. The hot months are coming. And now I'm going to be angry and miserable.
Oh, yeah.
But hopefully I won't be angry and miserable come August because I have something. I have a big move coming. I have a big move coming up. So, but before we get into all that, let's kind of break down what this R&R session is for listeners. This is basically just a podcast where we're going to just kind of talk, chit chat, and talk about our lives. Something that we don't really do in our video game podcast or anything like that. You catch glimpses of it like on the streams and stuff, but we don't really dive in. So we wanted to have like a podcast where we just hang out, you know, and chat about our lives, because we do that a lot off stream, like especially before we start streaming and stuff.
Oh yeah.
And so it's nice to just relax and have a good time and vibe, you know?
Exactly. We're giving people a peek behind the curtain.
Indeed, we are. And so I wanted to give them this peek, I wanted to start with some icebreaker questions, Elle. Things to get to know us. Get to know you, get to know me. So I'm going to keep it simple. I'm going to keep the first question simple. Okay. What is your favorite color? It's a very simple question.
That is very simple. That's one of the first three questions that you can ask someone who you don't know.
Indeed. What's your favorite color?
Exactly. My favorite color, it's funny because originally my favorite color was blue. For most of my life, I just love the color blue. Just because it's nice, chill, relaxed, not too bright, not too hurtful in the eyes. But as time's gone on and like, you know, I've experienced life and everything, it's still blue, but I have moments where like a forest green is really cool to me, or like a purple. I really enjoy like those types of colors. They're still technically on the cool side. They're not super bright, but when I see them like in like character designs or like maybe even on cars, like a certain type of like paint job, they look really cool to me, and I really like them a lot.
So you go for the cooler colors?
Yeah, I think it's because it kind of, funny enough, it might reflect like my personality. I tend to be a very like minimal isn't the right word, very low key, very like chill and out of the way, and like I never like to stand out too much, just because I don't like being the center of attention, and I just don't. I almost don't want people to notice me. I just kind of want to live amongst everybody else and just kind of just fit in, but also happen to do like amazing things. I just don't want like that recognition.
So you don't ever want to win like an Oscar?
I mean, it'd be cool if I did, but at the same time, I almost feel like I'd pull one of those things where I just let somebody else go accept it for me, or I would like video in from like my house because I didn't feel
video. I don't think you could do that for the Oscars, man.
Oh, well, I would just send somebody else to go up there for me just because I didn't feel like going.
You don't want to pull a Coen brothers. Anytime the Coen brothers wins an award, they just walk up there, say thank you, and then walk right off. They don't give a speech or anything. That's what I admire about the Coen brothers with that.
That's cool. That actually would be cool. That, or I'd just be like, "Hi, Mom," and then just leave.
Just go, hey mom. Don't even
Hey,
say
Mom.
thank you. Just say, hey mom. Walk away.
Hey, Mom. Exactly.
Like, I guess we clap for him. I don't know what's going on there.
Exactly. Or just to, like create a bit out of it where you're just kind of like randomly going up and just saying random phrases every time you win or something like that.
Yeah.
I love chili dogs, and then just leave and just do stuff
Chili
like
dogs are the greatest thing in the world.
that. Exactly.
Is he Sonic?
What about you?
Oh my god, he blue and Sonic? Anyways. My favorite color. So like you, blue was like one of my favorite colors. You know, it's really weird to talk about favorite colors because I feel like that's such a kiddie thing.
It is, yeah.
But it's also like, it's true. Like we all have preferences. I guess it's not something you really talk about when you're older. Nobody just walks up to you at a bar and goes, hey man, what's your favorite color?
Exactly.
You know you, but, icebreaker questions, you know?
Exactly.
But blue, I mean, I'm wearing a shade of blue now. I too am a fan of the cooler colors just because like, the chill, like there's like emotion attached to colors. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And blue is definitely one of the, like, blue or the cooler colors are very chill, relaxing. Whereas like warm colors like red and yellow and orange kind of are a little bit high energy. And I'm not a high energy person at all. Very, very calm, collected like you. I don't really want to be front and center of anything, which is weird because we're doing a podcast.
I know,
we are
right?
the attention. but blue, you know, I'm very partial to purple. I love purple a lot. And recently, like I've been recently in the last few years have been venturing into warmer colors, like just like clothing wise. And I am very, very partial to pink. I like pink clothing a lot. And so I wear a lot of pink, but then I wear a lot of purples and blues is usually what I have. And then a shade of green, like a darker shade of green.
Gotcha.
Because green kind of straddles that line of sometimes it can be a little too bright. So
exactly, yeah.
It's the darker shades of greens that I go for.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. It's around there though, but mostly the cooler colors for the most part. And then a lot of black, you know. Gotta get my goth in. Gotta get the goth in.
Oh yeah.
Black and be miserable.
It just goes with everything. So it's just like, oof. I've been lately digging a lot of like the I guess like earth tones, like I guess like a tan or something like that. I'm actually starting to really enjoy those because those as well can be very like cool and very neutral colors, and I love those because I'm just like, oh, these fit perfect, and it gives me a little bit of variety from if I have too much blue or too much purple or something. It gives me something to kind of break off to that's still neutral and that doesn't really have that high energy like you were saying. Yeah, tan has a tan colored clothing, like suits, has like a sophistication to it that I admire a lot. Do you remember when the world, U.S. politics, getting into U.S. politics, the world broke apart because freaking Obama wore a tan suit? Oh, yeah. It was like, why are you guys upset about that? That's the weirdest thing to attack someone about. It like try to tear someone down. Because he looked great in the suit. Like the suit looked fucking fantastic. So. Exactly. He looked really great. I can't remember if that might have been like an Easter suit or something. Yeah. And I think that's why he wore it or something. But it was a cool suit. Yeah. I can't remember either, but I just remember the whole controversy. And I was like, that's a weird thing to get upset about everything in the world. Exactly. But hey, people do. So moving on from that, this is a question I always like to ask my students when I was a teacher. Technically, I guess I'm still a teacher, just different kind of teacher now. But I always like to my breakout question always for my class when because I do the standard go around, introduce yourselves. What is an interesting fact about you that maybe somebody doesn't know? Like the average person wouldn't know, like I wouldn't know, just something random. Oh, that's interesting. I feel like I have a couple of those because I've been fortunate enough to live a very interesting life and do interesting things and do really cool things. I can think of two right off the top of my head. One of them is I've been on a big hip hop tour with a big artist. And so I went to I was on tour with them as their photographer, videographer for I think 2 months to maybe 2.5. And we just went to 50 cities. And that was a very amazing experience. The second thing I'll say is that I've shot I've shot a couple, but 3 what I consider big hip hop album covers for an artist in New York, and I didn't realize how big they would be until like they were kind of like still in that line before they kind of blew up.
Yeah,
and I happened to work with them before they blew up, and then as they were blowing up, like their albums, you would just see them all over Twitter, and then I would always, even to this day, I still see people post like the covers and stuff, and I'd be like, I did that. That's so cool, you know. And so those are the two that kind of jump out at me that immediately came to my head, just because I always forget stuff like that, like, oh, I did do that, you know, or I went on tour and stuff, and that was like, you know, how many people can say that they've gone on like a big tour like that, you know?
Yeah. Oh yeah. Do you, out of curiosity, do you stay in touch with the artists that you've worked with?
Yeah, I know the guy that I went on tour with, not so much, just because he was a very cool guy, but he kind of was like always like working and like being on the tour. Like we kind of became friends, but not to the point to where we were just like, hey, let's keep in touch type of thing. Yeah. You know, he was like, well, because I still remember to this day after the tour, when the tour was done and I was coming home, I remember he was like, as soon as the bus went to wherever we stayed at, or wherever we first initially started, he was like, all right, guys, I'm out, you know, and just left. He's very much kind of like us in a way, where he was like, well, I don't have to be out anymore. Let's go back home. I'm going back home to be by myself for a little bit, relax. And, you know, he's not very much of a, he needs to be seen type of person. He's very much like, I'll be at home if you need me type of artist. But the second artist, I am still in touch with him. He's a very cool guy. I happen to be lucky enough to like be cool with him, where I used to be in touch with him a lot as I was doing the album covers. But now he kind of is like so busy, and, you know, I talk to him every now and then, but not a lot.
Okay. Yeah. I something similar with me. I mean, you know this about me, but maybe folks that don't know me don't know this. I worked in theater for a long time, mixing musicals and stuff. I've worked with some incredible directors and actors throughout the years that I did that. I, you know, briefly lived out in California. That's where I met our friends Blitz and Little Dove. Blitz and I actually worked together at a theater out there and all of that jazz. He was a lighting person and I was the sound person. So, and we were always in the same, we were always working the same shows. And so we just naturally would hang out and go out to drink and stuff. But yeah, over the years, I got to meet some incredible actors, some incredible directors. Several actors and several directors have gone on to like be in movies and stuff like that. A friend of mine is in a Marvel movie, so it's nice. He's making that Marvel money, you know. And so it's just cool, like just to, you know, see them thrive. And like, you know, occasionally when I watch a show or watch something on like Netflix or HBO or something and just see them in the background, or I have them like predominantly in the front, it's just like, oh shit, I worked with them. You know, it's like, it's always fun to have that reaction. I also don't miss that life at all. Back in 2018, I was like, I'm done. I'm gonna stop doing theater stuff, which was a lie. I still do theater stuff every now and then. My most recent thing, I was just consulting as a sound person for a musical at my university, because they didn't have a dedicated sound person at the time.
Gotcha.
And so I was just helping them do the engineering aspects more than anything. But yeah, like theater stuff though, it's going to take a lot for me to ever go back to it. I love theater, but it was also part of the lowest part of my life, as weird as that sounds. I'm not going to get into that side of it, but in 2018, when I decided to stop, I was like, I need to stop for a reason. And so I came back to Arkansas and went to grad school because of it. So,
gotcha.
But yeah, that's the big thing for me. People always seem to be surprised when I mention theater stuff. But yeah, I love theater. You were there. I mean, you were around me when I started getting into theater. So,
no, definitely. I remember. Yeah, I remember going to the theater a couple times and then like seeing you there. And then of course I always knew that you were always like basically hanging around the theater and stuff. And so I think I even remember you when you first started to be like the engineer for the theater for sound and stuff like that. When you slowly started to take an interest into it, and so that was like always cool to me.
Oh yeah, that because it happened like 2009, 2010.
Yeah.
When I at UCA, because my sister was in the theater department. We were at college together, and so because of my sister was like, "Hey, we need people over here because we need help with stuff." Because the theater department was even now, like after I've gone through the University of Central Arkansas, the theater department is really small. It was even smaller back in 2009, 2010. So yeah. And so, I went because my sister was like, we need help. Come over here and help us. Because I do whatever my sister tells me to do, you know? Our friend Ron was briefly into theater too. Because they needed people. And I told her, remember Ron auditioned for things.
Oh, yeah. I forgot. Because
I told him, I dragged him along with me to like auditions and stuff. Because I was like, Ron, they need actors. You're an actor. Let's go.
Exactly. That's so funny.
Yeah, it was good times back then. So transitioning into that, that's I'm curious about your trajectory with college. Something, we allude to this all the time. We talk about college all the time because we're weird. Yeah. We always bring it up and I feel like there's no context for it half the time. But what was your major in college? And is it something that you still utilize now?
That, it's so interesting because, I do go back and I think about college sometimes, or I just think about certain decisions that I made in college that kind of led me to be here. So first, my major in college was digital filmmaking. Yep. I don't know if you remember at the time, like at the University of Central Arkansas, I don't know if this was like really real, but people in the film department would say how they had one of the best film programs in the country. I don't know if you remember that.
Yep. I remember them saying that. They still say it.
I don't know, like who surveyed who or who did what, but supposedly I always hear that. I was always hear that they were they had. I think
it was always the grad, not necessarily the undergrad, but the grad program was supposed to be one of the best grad programs in the country because they still say that they have one of the best grad programs.
So it's funny. So actually, before filmmaking was my major, I actually was a major for general business and administration. Because going into college, I actually wanted to be like a musician. That's what I wanted to. But of course, my family, my mother was like, that's nice and all, but you should also have a backup plan and you should focus on something else and major in something. So that way, in case that doesn't fall through, you have something to fall back on. So I didn't really want to do anything else at the time. And I thought, well, I guess I'll just learn business because you can do a lot of stuff with business. Went into it, took accounting, hated it. I hated numbers. I hated all of that stuff. It was such a pain. I barely passed accounting. And when I finished accounting 1, I was like, I can't do this. This is just not my thing. So I think at the time, I don't know. I think did Ron major in film? I can't remember. But I had a friend, or we had another friend, Gavin, if you remember Gavin. Yeah. He would be randomly in like the film department sometimes, and he would always tell me, hey, you should think about doing this because I think you would like it. And so I think one of the times I took a film class and I really liked it, and I just decided to switch majors into film. And so I switched majors into film, loved it a lot. And for a long time, I actually wanted to be a director of photography because I loved being behind the camera and I loved to like get some cool cinematic shots. And once I graduated, I actually was doing a lot of film, a lot of video, a lot of music videos, just using my degree, so to speak. And I would do a bunch of stuff. And like for a while when I was in Arkansas, I would shoot a lot of videos, commercials for people, for local businesses and stuff like that. And I did do it for a very long time, eventually moved here to Atlanta. And I was doing it here, but then I got into photography and that became like the main thing because in film, it took me so long to realize why in film you need a team for things because you can burn yourself out very quickly if you're the director, the DP, if you're the editor, if you're, just everything about it, and you have to, you're the one assistant scheduling everything. It burns you out. And I did that for like years, until I was like, you know what? I don't want to do this anymore. I'll switch over to photography. But, I think that I still do use it to this day, just because, I still take photos and stuff like that, and I'll do like cool little videos of myself making music and stuff for Instagram or like TikTok. And I still have that mentality of like, what's a cool shot? How can I make it look cinematic? What is something cool when I'm editing it and stuff like that? And so, yeah, long-winded answer, yes, I think that I still use it to this day, just because there's something cool about, instead of just having like a single shot just of me making music like right here, I can make it like cool. Oh, let me get this angle. What if I zoom in and do this? And it still fascinates me, and I enjoy it a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I'm going in a completely different direction now than what I was, because I made the conscious choice back in 2018 to get out of the theater life, to move away from theater entertainment, and into teaching, because I just found a passion for it, oddly enough. But when I first started college, I don't know if you remember this at all. My first semester of college ever, I was a mathematics major. I took
really?
I don't know if you remember me taking nothing but math classes my first semester, and it was because of. Do you remember Mr. Thompson from high school?
I think so.
He was the calculus teacher.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, he made me love math. Just because he was always like just a fun dude who made learning interesting and fun, And he was honestly probably the best teacher at our high school. So, he made me love math, and so I went into my first semester being a mathematics major because I wanted to be a math teacher, and I took like calculus. I took something else, algebra or something. I can't remember. Like I took like 2 or 3 math classes, and then I took a creative writing class. And I was miserable. The only time I was happy was the writing class. And so after my first semester, and part of the reason why I got put on academic probation on my first semester was because I failed 2 of the math classes because I just stopped going. I don't know if you remember any of that at all, and the problems I was having at that time, but like I got put on academic probation my first semester because I just stopped going to classes, specifically the math classes. And I was like, I can't do this because these classes are not fun at all. So the next semester is actually when I got into film because of you, actually, because you were telling me you were going to take a film class, and I was like, maybe I'll take it with you just to see. And then, because I think it was like intro to film, right? Or whatever.
Intro to film. Yeah.
And we took that together, and then we just kept taking the same film classes pretty much together after that. But I wasn't getting super into film like you were. Like I enjoyed film a lot. I was enjoying it, but I was like more of the writing and the acting side of it is what I was getting into. I loved writing scripts. I've always been a writer going all the way back to like when I was a little wee lad. So writing was always my thing. Eventually, I got into theater again because of my sister. And then when I transferred from UCA to the University of Arkansas, the reason I did that was because the University of Arkansas had a better. I always feel bad about using the word better for this. The theater department at the University of Arkansas had more opportunities.
Okay.
That, is why I eventually was able to move out to California, why I was able to work at Actors Theater of Louisville and stuff like that. There was better opportunities at the University of Arkansas that I wouldn't have gotten at UCA.
Yeah.
So when I went up to University of Arkansas, theater was my major, English was my minor, English education was my minor.
Yeah.
And my focus in theater was playwriting. I quickly realized, like after, I shouldn't say quickly realized, because this is just true across the board, both in film, theater, and just if you are a creative writing major in general, you need to quickly realize that it's going to take a long time before you will make money off of your writing. Maybe you'll get lucky where you'll get that awesome book deal right off the bat, but realistically, that's very rare. It doesn't happen virtually at all. Even like filmmakers, when you're writing a script, chances are, even if your script gets accepted by a company, chances are they're going to buy it off of you and you're going to lose the rights to it, type of deal. Yep. That's usually how that goes. They're just like, yeah, this is great. We're going to take it. We'll buy it from you. And usually when they buy it from you, it's only maybe you're lucky if you get a couple $1,000s for it, and then next thing you know, it's a big hit or something. But consistently making money off of writing wasn't something. That's why I started getting deeper into sound, because I had started doing sound both on film sets at UCA and in theater. And so I was like, you know what? I already have a background to this. I can take this and make it my extra focus. My tech focus is what people say in the theater world is you have to have a tech focus if you want to really make money. And so my tech focus was in sound, because theater and sound isn't something people really think about too often. And it's really easy to find jobs as a sound technician or as audio engineer or a sound designer. Obviously, you have to have the skills also. You can't just one day wake up and go, I'm going to be a sound designer, because that's not how that works. But, I was fortunate enough to have a great mentor at University of Arkansas. Yeah. I had a great mentor who also helped guide me into being an intern at Theater Squared, a theater company in Northwest Arkansas. And then from there, it just kind of ballooned into California, to Kansas City, to Louisville, all these other places around the country and stuff, which was awesome. And then I, quit, and I went and got a master's in creative writing. I went back to writing, and now I'm a teacher. So long story short, I guess I'm still technically using all of that now. It's just using it a different way. I think that's pretty common when you get out of college. Like unless it's like a specific skill set, like being a lawyer, being a doctor, I think, or even being like a computer engineer, those like very specific things. When you're like in the arts, your skills don't always translate over to like your real world career. Gosh, words are hard. You know what I mean? So
no, definitely. Agree 100%. Cause it's interesting. Cause I know a lot of people who majored in something and now they're doing something completely different than what they majored in. Yeah. It happens a lot. And, cause you never know what's going to happen, or over time, maybe you don't, your interest in it isn't as invested as it used to be. And something else grabs your attention, and so sometimes it just happens like that.
Yeah, that's what happened with me with theater. Like, I just lost interest, among other things. And like, I kind of reverted back to the very beginning of my college career, where I was like, I'll go into education because my mom's a teacher. My mom has been a teacher. My grandma was a teacher. Like, education was always big in my family. And so it's like, it just took me longer to get to being a teacher than it did my mom and my like other members of my family and stuff. So so I just followed pretty much in the steps of the rest of my family. Nice. Woo! So exciting.
That's so interesting. That's like a really interesting perspective, because I know to kind of go for that, because like my family actually, I don't even know like what they wanted to be, so to speak. Like my mom, I know she only went to college for 2 years before she dropped out, because she had my older sister and me, and she wanted to have a family. And like my dad, being an immigrated here, and he kind of, I don't even know if he really wanted to do anything. He just wanted to start over and start fresh. And so it's very interesting seeing the perspective of, like, I guess the opposite of that, where I don't know anyone in my family besides maybe my little brother, and I'm trying to think if I know anybody else who's into the fields that I'm in. And so it's very interesting, because now it makes me think, because like nobody like, I didn't have anybody to kind of look up to like, oh, I want to do this. Well, no, that's a lie. I'm sorry. I just realized, because I think one of the reasons why eventually I went into film was my mom loved movies, and like she would literally have on a movie like 24/7. And like she would literally have the TV on, it never turned off. Like she would always have HBO going or something like that, and she would always watch movies consistently. We would go to the movies, we would do all these things, and so it was. I guess you could say that it was there in the background, and maybe it always piqued my interest because I'm like, whoa, here are these worlds that people created that are so cool, and maybe that kind of it was supposed to eventually get to me, but but my dad not so much. My dad. Now that I think about it, dang, I'm having a realization. Now that I think about it, my dad, I didn't learn this until later in life. My dad, one thing that he really loves is he loves to sing. Now, not professionally. Yeah, not professionally or anything like that. But he loves to go to like the karaoke with like friends and stuff. And like he'll sing like these Mexican songs and just like will sing in front of people. And he loves to be the center of attention. And he's like, I'm performing such. So maybe... that's where I get a lot of this stuff from, where I'm like the music and then the film. So, okay, I just had a realization.
Going along those lines, my parents have always been supportive of the arts, which is what kind of drove my sister into theater. Like my sister, growing up, wanted to be an actress. And like she knew, my sister at like age 8 knew that. And so my parents, wanting to foster her interest in theater and acting and stuff, would encourage her to audition for things. My mom would take her to auditions and stuff. And even like with me, my parents were like, if you want to do this, do it. If you want to write. Kind of with my dad, just a random fact about my family and my dad. I think you know this. I think we've talked about this in the past before. But my dad used to be in Spanish soap operas back in like the 70s when he was like closer to like 18, 19 years old before he decided to join the U.S. Air Force. When he was living in Puerto Rico, he was in Spanish soap operas. He did modeling and stuff like that, which is wild to think that because we still have pictures of, his modeling days. We still have like he still gets like checks and stuff from like,
that's so
reruns
funny.
of the episodes that he's been in and crap. And now my dad does like radio stuff for Spanish commercials and stuff in Arkansas. Usually, I believe what he says is like they go to like Texas, California. He just records them here in Arkansas for some reason. But like some recording company over in Little Rock. But yeah, so like the arts have always been big. Like my mom's was a musician and stuff and did all of that stuff. And so, like the arts have always been encouraged with me and my sister. Yeah. And kind of why we ended up where we are. And then going all along with the education, like my mom, she went to college for being a teacher. She got a master's in education. Not entirely sure why she hasn't ever pursued like a PhD, because my mom has like multiple masters at this point. And, but yeah, my mom's a teacher now. My dad, on the other hand, went into the U.S. Air Force after doing all this Spanish acting stuff and modeling and all that. He went into the U.S. Air Force because he wanted to leave Puerto Rico, is what he always says. He was just like, I was tired of living in Puerto Rico. I wanted to leave. And he left and then met my mom. Oddly enough, this is a funny story about how my parents met, because my mom likes telling us. I'm going to tell it to the world. They met in church. Wow. My mom was standing behind him in the pews, and she even admits this because my dad always tells the story first, and then my mom would always confirm it. But she was staring at his butt while they were in church.
Oh my God, that's so.
And that's how they met, because he turned around and looked at her like, "What are you looking at?"
That's
and then
so
apparently
funny.
my mom confessed, "I was looking at your ass," and she said it in church.
That's hilarious.
And then the rest is history. They got married, had me and my sister and I, and that was back in like 87 or whatever, 1987. So
cool. That's so funny.
But yeah, so long story short, though, like it's always interesting to realize just how much of an influence your parents actually had, even if you don't realize that. Like the realization, the movies that your mom always wanted to watch and stuff, your dad singing and stuff, and how that kind of trickled down to you without realizing it. Kind of like, I'm still obsessed with Star Wars because I want to say like 95, 96 when I was living in Ohio. Mm-hmm. This is one of the few memories I have of Ohio. my parents introduced Star Wars to me. We got snowed in. We at the time in Ohio, we were living out in the middle of nowhere. Mm-hmm. I don't remember why we were living out in the middle of nowhere, but it was like the closest town was like an hour away, basically. That was like the closest town with a like Walmart was an hour away.
Wow.
So we were literally in the middle of nowhere. But we got snowed in, and I remember my dad putting on A New Hope, Star Wars A New Hope. And ever since then, it's like Star Wars has been a thing for me since I was a wee lad, a little kid. And I still remember like, putting the blanket around because I was cold and just being enamored by what I was seeing on the screen with Luke Skywalker, with Chewbacca, with the Death Star, with the Jedi, with the lightsabers and Han Solo, and just being so enamored by it when I was younger. And like, even now when I watch it, I'm like, I get taken back. I'm like, yeah, this is still the magic that I remember it being. And that's why I love Star Wars so much.
Yeah.
Is because of that. Cause like, it just had such a big effect on me. Cause like, it made me want to write. It made me want to explore. It made me want to see beyond just the world that I was living at the time. And that was when I was 5 or 6 years old, and I was so gosh darn enamored. And so, yeah. Do you have a movie or piece of media like that for you that made you go, oh yeah, this is magic?
I'm trying to think of the movies. Let me think. I know movies, it varies, because I know like my mom, she didn't just love like one genre of movie or one type of movie. She kind of loved action. Well, I'll say she loved action a lot. She loved like thrillers, and she always loved to be like, whoa, on the edge of her seat. But she also loved comedies. No movies are coming to mind, but I do know that like, luckily when I was young, my mom, she was very supportive of me and my brother and my sisters, of like, doing, pursuing what we wanted to do, Mm-hmm. She had ideas of maybe like ways that, were safe for us to go. She was like, you could be a football player, you could be a doctor, a lawyer, the typical thing, But she
when you
was
say
like,
football player, you mean soccer, or do you mean football?
I mean American football. And so, but just because like I used to play football, because like my mom, she kind of was like, you should think about doing that. I think you'd be good in that. And I got in it, hated it. I hated getting hit. It never made sense to me to hit each other.
Yeah.
It sucked so much.
I remember doing it in 6th grade or whatever when it was the worst.
Yeah. It just did not work for me. But, I remember like my mom wasn't really super big into music. But I know my dad was. And, I remember through like middle school and junior high, like friends would like, tell me like, have you heard this new album, or have you heard this new music? And I'm like, no, I don't know anything about that. And they were like, oh, you should buy this. And I remember, I think the first album I ever bought with my own money, if I remember correctly, was from this hip hop artist named Nelly, if you remember Nelly. Mm-hmm. And it was like his big like debut album that went diamond, sold a lot of records. And I remember listening to the music to that and then being like, whoa, what is this? And just being enamored, and then falling in love with a lot of like East Coast hip hop artists, just because I loved the beats so much, the instrumental underneath them, and how cool they sounded. And I remember like hearing the music and just like constantly like listening and being like, I thought the artists were cool, but I was like, but who made the beat underneath them? Like I wanted to learn about the production aspect. I was like, how do you make something like that? Because it felt like it touched my soul in a way. And I was like, I want to recreate that feeling, and I want to make it. And so I got so obsessed at like figuring out, luckily, thank God we had like the internet, and like just looking up, doing research of like, okay, is there something, how much does it cost to buy a program, or how much does it cost to buy a piece of equipment to do this, And so I remember, just like downloading stuff and just trying to recreate every single day just for hours on end. Because if I wasn't doing that, I was playing video games because I love video games so much. But, if it wasn't that, I was probably making music on an old laptop or an old desktop computer while a movie was playing in the background, of just trying to like recreate stuff or recreate the feeling that had captivated me,
Yeah. I remember when we were roommates, well, I guess we were never roommates. We were always suitemates, right?
Yeah.
But I remember you like would use your closet, right, for as a recording thing.
Yeah.
It was you, T Rose,
Gavin.
a couple of was it just you three, or there was other people, right?
There were other people there.
But I remember there would be days you would come out and be like, okay, guys, I'm going to need you all to be quiet today. Cause it would be like me, Ron, or Zach, or somebody like in the little shared space area. You'd be like, hey guys, we're recording and can you all just be quiet for like 10, 20 minutes while we record. Yeah. And then we would just hear you playing music and you guys would go, oh yeah, let me change this beat real quick. And so I just remember hearing that all the time. And I remember your like desk in your room was just covered with your like, cause you had like multiple computers, right?
Yeah, multiple computers, and then piano, like a little MIDI controller and stuff, and everything.
I remember like always taking a peek in there, just being like, man, y'all going hard at this. So.
It's just cause it was so much fun. And like then meeting other people who did it, just kind of like our friend Marcus, if you remember Marcus. No. He was different than me because he played in church and he learned differently. And so all these people I met kind of like, gave me advice or like ideas of how to get better. Cause I was always obsessed with like, how do I get better? How did, they do this? And this was like the early on years of like YouTube, and like people were slowly putting up videos of, this is how you do this. And, just learning how to do all that. But yeah, man, there were many nights just creating consistently and just going.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That's something you just had to do at the time too, right? Like, oh yeah, it was the only way to, because if you weren't going to do it, then what were you going to do? Right. So
exactly. Yeah. It just felt like the right thing to do. Cause if I wasn't making music, I was like, well, if I'm not making music, then I should probably play a video game. If I don't feel like playing a video game, I should capture something cool, like on video, or like, let's shoot a video type of thing, And so those are the things that felt right to me. Like I always felt drawn to them,
Yeah, same. I feel the same. Well, I feel the same in the sense that writing was always that for me. I always was writing stuff. Even when we were living together, I was always writing a short story or something, or a script. I remember going to you and like, Elle, I need feedback. Can you give me feedback, please, on this script or the short story I was writing? And you were always nice, even though you shouldn't have been nice to me. But,
that's hilarious.
So we've reflected a lot on the past, but now I'm curious, Elle, where are you at now? Like present Elle, what is your career? Something that we briefly talked about like on streams and stuff, but we've never like elaborated. But for our listeners out there, what is current Elle doing in life?
It's interesting because currently I feel like I'm doing a lot of the same but in different ways. Well, like I'm still creating music and like I'm releasing music as an artist. I'm working and collaborating with other artists who are like singers, or they might be rappers, and like picking and choosing who I want to work with, just because I know I don't like to work with everyone. I think that if I'm selective, there's a couple artists that I really enjoy working with because I love the process and they care as much as I do. Outside of that, I'm doing content creation, doing this, one of the many podcasts that we work on, and figuring out ways of being creative and making content like cool or making it funny. Also, doing like, I have like a little part-time job where I photograph cars, and it's like very simple, nothing like super creative, but it allows me to be able to make music when I want to, do this, podcast with you and like one of the other podcasts. And so mostly I'm just still making music, still creating, still doing this, podcast. And then also, finally, I know I say this a lot, starting streaming, because that's what I want to do, and like just throw stuff on. I always say it, but there's always something stopping me. But I'm at a point now where I'm just like, okay,
you're running out of excuses.
Exactly, I'm running out of excuses. Exactly, and so I might as well just do it. And so, wanting to do that as another way to kind of like let people come into this world of mine and like show them of like how I create things, or like just watching me, in a way. Yeah. And so I'm still doing some of the same, still love video games, still playing video games. And just figuring out how to, eventually get to a point to where with the music, maybe with the podcast, with, potentially even the photography, of making that a successful career and trying to get it to be more consistent. That's the key. So that way I don't have to do the other job if I don't want to, and I can just do this every day, because I would love to do what I'm doing, which I do every day, but I want to take away that little aspect of the job.
You want your job and hobbies to align.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly. And so, which they do occasionally, but I think what it is seeing my partner of how successful she is with her business. Mm-hmm. It allows me to be like, oh, this is possible. Because she enjoys doing what she does. And so I'm like, well, this is possible. And I've done it before. Like, I've caught lightning in a bottle with like creating music, doing stuff. Now it's all about figuring out how to do it consistently. And so if I can do it consistently, then I can be like, oh, I don't have to take a job that I don't necessarily want to. Not that it's a bad job, but if I want to free up more time to do what I love to do, that'd be amazing.
Yeah. Completely understandable. I mean, if I've always taken this stance, and you may not agree with me, maybe nobody agrees with me. If you're not loving something, then what's the point of doing it?
Yeah.
It kind of sucks to say this is how I've applied that aspect to my jobs that I've had in my life. Yeah. And maybe it's a privileged thing to have, to be able to just go, I'm not loving this job anymore, so I'm just going to quit. I know not everybody has that luxury and that has the ability to do that. But I kind of stand by that statement. Like, if you're not loving it, then why are you doing it? You need to ask that question of yourself. If you're not loving what you're doing, then why are you doing it? What makes you keep going? Is it the paycheck? Obviously, exactly. It's probably the paycheck, but like, could you find ways to make the things that you do love a career for you? And it sounds like that's what you're trying to do right now. So,
oh yeah. And like, it's interesting. Sorry to butt in, but like I think I was talking to a friend of mine here, and I was talking to my partner about this, where there's always this question when it comes to life of like, what do you want from it? Like, what does your dream like life look like? Outside of money, outside of all these things, like what is it? If you were to wake up one day, what would you want to do? And, for the rest of your life, so to speak. And the main thing that I think, maybe when I was younger, because I didn't really have a good understanding of myself or really ask myself that question, I was like, oh, I want $1 million, blah, 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 and all these things.
$1 million is not a lot of money now.
It's not, yeah. But I remember when I asked myself recently of like, what's my dream life, or just how do I want to live here? Mm-hmm. If I could, if money was no option, and all the things that I listed, I'm currently doing. When that's like making music, that's doing the podcast, that's playing video games, and traveling every now and then. And the only thing that I haven't accomplished that I wanted to accomplish is just that career aspect. And so I'm lucky to be able to say that I actually have a lot of things that I want out of life. I actually have them right now. Mm-hmm. And so the only thing that I'm working on is just that, making it a consistent career. So that way, like, I can just do that like for a living for the rest of my life. Because currently that's what I want to do for the rest of my life, do this and just have it just flourish and turn into a career,
Yeah. Oh yeah. I mean, that's what I kind of align with you on that, where I would love for this to be the career that I have. I would be so gosh darn happy if my streams took off, if the podcast took off, because this is what I love to do. This is what I want to do. And like, this isn't to say I don't love teaching. I enjoy teaching a lot. That's what I'm currently doing and the career that I'm currently going on. I'm about to move to a completely new country to go teach English. So, I have to love it. Right. And so, but if I woke up tomorrow and I magically had 1,000 subscribers on Twitch or whatever, it'd be like, well, like, I'm going to do that then. That's going to be my focus, because that's what I ultimately love doing. But like right now it's a great hobby to have, and it's a great support thing to have when my actual career right now is not going the direction I wanted to. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like
exactly.
A couple of months ago, I was telling you that I was thinking about quitting teaching because I was just miserable, right? But now I suddenly have an opportunity where I get to go to another country, get to travel, get to experience something completely new that I'm like, yeah, I'm going to go do that because maybe that's the spark I need, you know?
Yeah.
We'll see. I might be miserable in Okinawa. I don't know. But I'm going to still be doing this. I'm still going to be playing video games, still going to stream while I'm in Okinawa and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, for those who don't know, I might have said this on our other streams and stuff, but I'm moving to Okinawa in August. Yeah. You know, I'm 2 months away, and I'll be teaching English to young folk, to young students, to kids, I guess. I think I'm going to be teaching at a high school. Not 100% sure. I don't have my exact placement yet, but I'll be teaching either high school or junior high aged kids. So yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's going to be fun. I'm planning to do at least 2 years through that, you know? So
yeah.
But yeah, it's wild to think that pretty soon, like, the stuff behind me is going to be gone. You're not going to see the stuff behind me.
Yeah.
I'm going to be a completely new area where maybe it'll be great. Maybe it won't. We'll see. I'm incredibly excited by it though. Like, just the aspect of it. I know we've already talked briefly about you coming to visit or something.
Yeah.
So it's like, yeah, because you're well, I'm going to transition because I already briefly touched on this. What is what are the future goals that you have? Like, so
for everything that I'm doing. So the future goals, of course, are to currently one of the goals that I have with like the podcast that we do, like Respawn Please, Review Please, and then now Relax and Respawn, is to gain an audience and like do that slowly but surely, which I do see that happening with Respawn Please. And so I see that happening via like social media and stuff. And then now I'm like, okay, so like, as long as we're consistent, you know, people can expect us consistently. And so I was like, okay, after consistency, we just have to make good content. And I'm like, okay, which allows me to be creative and like cut clips together and be like, okay, what's something that I can make that's funny? Because one of the things that I enjoy doing is like making funny content out of it, of like us being silly or just, you know, just having a good time on the podcast. But so one of my goals is I want to get, currently, I want to say on our YouTube, we're at 41 subscribers. So I want to get to 100. That's one of the goals.
Yeah.
That's the first big goal that I want, which I think we will reach. It's just a matter of time as long as consistency is going. Another thing is I want to get the podcast to 50 monthly listeners, which is doable. It's possible. Then after that, I'll probably do that for all the podcasts, but I know I want to do Respawn Please first, because I think that has the best way, as well as Review Please. And then, so those are the main two goals. Of course, keep growing the social media. So I think I want to get, hold on, I can look real quick here. I think on our TikTok, we've been gaining a lot of traction. And so, which I like a lot. And so I enjoy seeing like our numbers go up. It's like super fun. This is like one of the few times that numbers I'm like, oh, this is cool. And so, yeah, so like on here, we're at 51 followers. So I'm going to get that to 100. We're already at 1,500 likes. And so I'm like, okay, cool. So people are liking it. And I'm figuring out how this whole freaking algorithm works for each separate social media place. And so all I'm focusing on is trying to reach these realistic numbers, which are doable. They're not that far away. Yeah. And then, you know, one of these days I'll be like, we did it. Then after that, I'll be like, let's do another 100 and just keep doing it. Yeah.
See where we're going.
Exactly. So I want to be consistent, and a goal of mine, I think it'll probably be after we reach 100. If we're, when we do that, I want to figure out a way to, collaborate with maybe, some game company or something, or, you know, review a game, or maybe they allow us to review something or something, like, you know, something to that effect. That would be very cool. And so, but before that, I'm focusing on the growth. As far as music, I think I've been really good on my plans for my music releasing consistently. So like the past few months, I've just been releasing something every month. And so doing that, I'm working on getting my music into sync licensing. So for like commercials, films, and stuff like that. my goal is to be accepted into one music library. And once I do that, I think that I can get into more. And so, but I'm putting my focus on getting into one. And that way, everything I create can make money while I'm asleep. That's
the best, right? You just feel like
exactly
like, oh, I made $50,000 and I just slept for 4 hours.
Exactly. And so, doing that, and then I think another goal of mine is I also want to get back into street photography, because in Japan, I love, I love taking photos out there because everything looks so cool. And so I want to do that and possibly sell like limited quantities of prints of stuff that I take. And so, but that one's kind of like in the very back. That's not really my main focus right now. And so it's really just the stuff with the podcasts, the YouTube, music, and long-winded answer. But yeah, I think those are like a couple, because I want to make sure that, sure, I have these big aspirations, but I want to make sure that along the way that I have these realistic, like breakpoints, not breakpoints, but like places I can go to, like, oh, I'm slowly climbing. So this is letting me know that I'm heading up that way, you know?
Yeah. You want to see the progress.
Exactly.
Towards your goal. Yeah. Completely understand with that. Yeah. I think that's, for me right now, I am working on a novel. My MFA thesis was a novel. I am now taking that thesis, and the thesis is only about, I want to say 200 pages or something like that. So it was a novel. It was a novel, but now I'm taking it and really expanding on it because I didn't quite do everything that I wanted to do. And so I'm expanding it in pretty much every aspect. You briefly, I showed you like the map that I'm creating for it because it's a fantasy novel. I showed you kind of what I'm doing with that. But there's like so many aspects to it that I'm really fleshing out because it's going to be the first book of a series.
Nice.
And so I'm slowly putting that together. And my goal, like for this foreseeable future, beyond just like getting to Okinawa and being a teacher and all that, it's to finish this novel by the end of the year is my big focus. Like I spend about, I want to say an hour or two every day, just sitting down, working on some aspect of it. Sometimes it's not that actual writing process. Sometimes it's working on the map. Sometimes it's just like exploring, okay, the history and lore of this world that I'm building and how it applies to the story that I'm trying to tell. Because there are days where I just try to sit down and I try to write and I'm just like, I'm getting nothing. Maybe I can work on the map. Maybe I can just like have bullet points of like lore aspects or stuff like that. Because sometimes it is just, there are days where it's just hard to sit down and write because it's just like the creative juices just are not flowing. Like where it's just like, okay, I'm kind of burned out from the week because I had to go do this. I had to go do that. I'm just like, I want to relax and work on this, but I know the writing aspect is not going to work. So I'll just sit here and stare at this computer screen and make a map because I'm weird and I like making maps. Another thing that I've been getting really into recently and something that I do want to take over to Okinawa, and I won't really know if I'll be able to do this until I get to Okinawa, but that is gardening.
Nice.
I've been gardening a lot recently, helping my mom with her garden. And it made me go, man, like I've been spending like once a week. I spend an hour, usually on a Monday. I'll wake up, go out to the garden, and I'll spend an hour working on the garden, whether it's just like checking on the plants, watering them, cleaning out the grass that's growing around, just cleaning it up a little bit. But it's always like that hour that I have with it is just so damn peaceful. Like I don't know how to I don't really know how to describe it. Especially if you've never just sat down to like work on a garden, take care of plants and stuff. It's just, there's something peaceful about it when you're just working and you just turn your brain off and you're just taking care of these plants that, they're not judging you or anything. Maybe they are. Maybe they're plant break. Maybe there's like a plant. I don't know. But like, I don't know. There's just, I don't know. Beyond that, I don't really know how to describe like just that peace that falls on me while I'm just working and just playing around with it and stuff. And so I want to take that with me to Okinawa, and I won't really be able to know like what my situation is until I'm there. Cause like right now I know I'm going to be living in Okinawa. I don't know where yet. I will know in like a couple weeks, hopefully. but yeah, so we'll see. Hopefully I can have some sort of plan, so some sort of like small garden or something is what I'm hoping for. I'm assuming I'm going to probably like live in an apartment. Maybe I'll get lucky and like live in a house that will have a yard. That's unlikely, but even then, like even if I live in an apartment, I can have like window plants or something that I could, you know, that I can grow and take care of and stuff. But yeah, there's just something so peaceful about gardening that I've come to appreciate. And maybe it's just because I'm getting older. I don't know. You know, like I saw a TikTok the other day where it's like, it's making fun of like, oh, you're getting older. The older you get, the more you realize you're doing these things. And one of them is like, you care more about bread, which I'm like, yeah, I care more about bread. I'm really interested in bread. I can't remember the like other points that the person was making in the TikTok. And I was like, oh my God, every single point is right. But like, yeah, so like, yeah, gardening though has become like recently a very peaceful thing for me to do and kind of like help me de-stress, because I started doing it like towards the end of this last semester when it was like my stress was at an all-time high. And where I was like, okay, I think I'm done with teaching because this is just too much for me right now. I'm tired of this. I'm just tired all the time. And then it just so happened to fall when, okay, we're going to start working on the garden again. And then just taking that time out of the day to just not think about anything else except these plants has been so cathartic and relieving for me, relaxing for me. So
nice.
Yeah. Do you have something like that you do to kind of, or is that music for you?
No, because sometimes music can be relaxing, but I know sometimes like kind of like how you were talking about writing, sometimes like I'll try to create and it's, you know, it can be a little frustrating when things aren't clicking, or nothing's coming to you. And like sometimes I'll just play the piano. So like some of the things that I do, to kind of calm my brain down is sometimes I will play an instrument, but I'm not playing it to create something. I'm just kind of just playing it to just kind of play along with it and just kind of like see like where my skill set is and just try to like, you know, continue to improve my skill set. That's what I do with my bass a lot, where I'll just sit there, play, or maybe I'll play to a song or something to see if I can keep up with it or if I can figure out what key it's in. And just kind of like have fun with it. Same thing with the piano. That's what I do. Outside of that, one thing that I enjoy doing a lot lately is like I've enjoyed walking my dogs like in our neighborhood and like just walking with them and just kind of letting them smell like the environment, just everything around. And just, it's very peaceful because like you can hear kind of cars in the distance and stuff. But outside of that, like them just kind of exploring is always interesting, just to watch them kind of be familiar with the environment and they know their spots. Outside of that, I enjoy going to the gym, working out, because that can clear up a lot of stuff. And that always puts me in a positive mood after I'm done. And so like lifting something heavy or doing some cardio stuff, and like it literally just kind of like hard resets my brain. Is if I had something on my brain or on my mind that I couldn't get out, focusing on something and just like getting lost in that workout, for me, it just resets, and it almost just like kind of like a Etch a Sketch. You just shake it and my brain's like, oh, okay, we've reset. We're reset now. And so, yeah, I'm trying to think if there's anything else. I think one thing that I did used to enjoy a lot, I don't do it as much anymore, but maybe I'll start back up. I enjoyed going on hikes. Hikes were a lot of fun.
Hikes are fun.
It's like, and I'm always amazed at how, like here in Atlanta, there's a couple places that you can hike, but there's like certain places that I like to go to because even though it's out of the city, when you're outside of it, you can hear just like cars, you can hear the highway, but the more that you go into the hike, you start to slowly just not hear the city anymore. And it's so peaceful. And you're just like, whoa, it almost feels like you go into another world. And that itself is like, you know, it's near this river called the Chattahoochee River. Mm-hmm. And when you're by there, just hearing the water run and just like listening to nature, it's very calming for me. And so those are like some of the things that I enjoy doing.
Yeah. Hiking is something I used to do a lot, especially when I lived in Northwest Arkansas, because there's just so many hiking trails up in Northwest Arkansas area. It's probably the best part of Arkansas, in my opinion. I'm sure some people would challenge that, but anybody that would challenge that is batshit crazy. But no, that's one of the things I'm actually looking forward to a lot, going to Okinawa going to Japan.
Oh yeah.
Is going on these hiking trails. Okinawa has a lot of like just beautiful hiking areas. I've already been researching like, okay, where can I go in Okinawa that's just going to get me away from people? Because Okinawa is an island, and it's kind of like where the urban centers are, it's just jam packed because there's a lot of people. And the urban centers are just huge on this island, on a island that's relatively small. And so there are like specific hiking areas and stuff. And like, there's also like going to one of the outlier islands where there's less people and stuff like that. That's what I'm looking forward to. And then anytime, if I ever make my way to mainland Japan, just going to Mount Fuji or something like that, or going into any of the other prefectures, just getting to explore and go on a hike and just experiencing nature. I think that's something that's just always special and relieving and peaceful, getting to reconnect. And I think that's what I love about the gardening aspect of it so much, is just being sort of one with nature in a way. Yeah. Sure, I'm living in a suburb of one of the big cities of Arkansas, but it's still relatively peaceful when you can just turn your brain off and just sort of become one with nature in very different ways. And hiking does that. Gardening does that for me. I can relate with walking the dogs. Like, my dogs have their route. Morgan, my German Shepherd Husky, she knows the exact route that we always go. And so at this point, it's just like routine for her. She's like, yep, we're going this way. My other dog, Alistair, he's still hyper and just, he still has that puppy. He's like 3 years old now, but he still has all the puppy energy. So he's just like, oh yeah, what's that? What's going on? And so, and it's always funny because like he's trying to run forward. Morgan's old. She's going on 10 years now, 11 years now.
Oh, wow.
And so she's a slower paced dog, and she's just like, okay. And so I'm being stretched across, and Morgan's just going slow. And I'm just like, okay. I've had to stop taking Alistair just because of that. Like, I have to walk them at separate times because there's just like the energy difference is just too much to handle, you know? Yeah. Because it's just like, Alistair, you're too much. Morgan can't deal with this. She's too old. So, but yeah, walking my dogs is also, I wish I could get the sense of, I wish I could get that endorphin rush that people have with working out. Oh, yeah. For some reason, I become miserable working out. I become worse. I get in a worse mind state when I'm working out. I don't know what it is. And like, I've tried going to the gym. Like I've gotten like a personal trainer when I was at, I've gotten a personal trainer like through UCA, you know, you can get a personal trainer at the Hype Center and stuff. So I've done that. And it's just, for some reason, it makes me miserable. I don't know what it is. I don't know why. I don't get that endorphin like push. Is it endorphins when you work out, or is it something else? Yeah. No, endorphins. Yeah. Yeah. I don't get that rush. Like it doesn't exist with me when I'm working out, and I don't know why. Like, I'm weird. And because like there was like a month straight where I was just working out consistently, and I just wasn't getting that endorphin rush, and I was just miserable the entire time. Every time I was like dreading going, and maybe it was just the mindset. I don't know. I try to be positive going into it, but weird. I wish I could have that, and I don't know what's wrong with me. Maybe I shouldn't look at it that way, but but does that make sense?
No, that makes a lot of sense. I know my partner, she's like that sometimes, but for her, it took her figuring out what she enjoyed working on. So like, you know, I know for me, one thing I enjoy lifting weights, just because I enjoy the feeling of getting stronger and seeing that results of that. Like one thing that I hate running. Like I hate running. There's like, I don't know if there's anybody that really just enjoys running. I think they still have a bad time with it, even if they say they enjoy it. But like I enjoy going like on the elliptical, on a bike. I enjoy hiking at an incline. Like that's fun for me versus like just running. I just don't like that act. And so I know that if I want to get cardio in, I can't do it through running. It has to be through walking, hiking, biking, or like some sort of other workout, because I know that I will not be happy at all running. It's just not super fun to me.
Yeah. I understand that. Like for me, I hate lifting weights. I just hate it. It's miserable. Like, why do people do it? Whatever. I don't want to, like, I think like for me, like, I don't really care about getting like strong. It's more like, I just want to stay healthy more than anything.
Yeah, I get that.
And so like, I do gravitate towards cardio, and like I have been enjoying jump roping. I told you like a month ago, 2 months ago, that I've been getting into jump roping. I'm still doing that. I don't really count that. For some reason my brain doesn't count that as working out though. So I don't know why, but like I try to do like 10-15 minutes of jump roping every day. Well, every other day, but I do enjoy that for the most part. There are days where I'm just like, ugh, whatever. It's more I'm going through the motions than anything, than actually enjoying it. But yeah, like there's just, man, I maybe it is, I just haven't found that thing that really, really connects with me when it comes to working out. But I don't know, like the weightlifting doesn't work for me. I don't like running either. Running is miserable. I do like hiking though. I just maybe need to do that more than what I am now.
I would say, that'd be something to look into.
Yeah. My problem is like, I hate going outside. I'm scared of it. I like going in the backyard. Can I hike my backyard?
That's hilarious.
I just don't want to be around people. Ugh, why am I going to Okinawa? Oh my God. I'm kidding. No, I think Okinawa though, I think is going to be a good reset for me with just various aspects of my life. And I think, I'm going to be in a new place. So I'm going to force myself to actually go out and explore, go on these hikes and stuff like that. Maybe lift weights. I don't know. But yeah. So I have one final question, one little icebreaker for our first podcast for the folks to get to know you. And this is this isn't a final question. This is more of a rapid round. Okay. I have multiple questions.
Okay.
So first thing that comes to your mind. All right. Mm-hmm. Favorite movie?
Children of Men.
Really? I was not expecting that. Oh my God, I love Children of Men.
Yeah, amazing.
Did we ever watch that movie together? I don't think so.
No, you actually showed it to me. You said you should watch this, and I watched it, and I was like, "Whoa!"
Okay. Favorite anime?
One Punch Man.
Fucking gross, man! I just threw up everywhere. Favorite video game?
Fuck. Favorite video game? Oh, Grand Theft Auto.
Favorite artist?
Musician wise?
Musician, yeah, sorry. Favorite musician?
Oh, favorite musician, I'm going to give it to Sampha from London.
I don't even know who that is. I'm assuming it's an English rapper, I'm assuming.
No, singer.
Singer, okay. Cool.
Yeah, amazing singer.
Nice. Favorite console?
Favorite console? Oh my God. Nintendo 64.
First console?
Super Nintendo.
Favorite video game character?
Star Fox.
Really? Nice.
That's the first one that came to my mind. Oh, and I just thought of the second one that I really enjoyed, but too late. Whatever.
Yeah. Favorite Nintendo property?
Nintendo property? Nintendo. I was about to say something. Favorite Nintendo property? Mario Kart.
Okay. There was a moment where I thought you were going to start. There was a moment where I thought I heard a D and I was like, oh, he's going to say Donkey Kong.
I almost did say that. I almost did. But then I was like, is that my favorite? Not really.
I thought I heard the duh, and then you kept going. So, yeah, that's all I've got for the rapid fire.
Oh, okay.
Do you have any rapid fires for me?
Yes. Favorite book?
The Way of Kings by Brandon Sanderson.
Oh, interesting. Favorite sci-fi TV show?
Favorite sci-fi TV show? Battlestar Galactica. Easy.
Favorite film?
Favorite film? Star Wars: New Hope.
Oh, very nice.
Again, as I said earlier, I have a strong connection to it. So,
wait, I just had favorite food.
Favorite food? I absolutely love tacos. Just tacos.
Nice.
Any kind of taco. Chicken taco. Well, I don't like fish tacos because I'm weird. I'm not the biggest fan of fish, which I got to get used to living in Okinawa. But
okay.
Speaking of Okinawa, they have apparently I don't know why this is the case in Okinawa, but they apparently have strong influence of Mexican food in Okinawa. I don't know why.
Interesting. In Japan, there was some amazing Mexican food, and I was like, "How is this here?" But it's so interesting.
Yeah. So
Anyway,
so I'm gonna find some tacos there.
Oh yeah, you'll be like, these are the best in the world.
Yeah.
The last question I have here is, damn, I just had it. Oh, I guess this is very random. I don't know if you do it. Favorite soda.
Favorite soda? I'm a Dr. Pepper boy. I like Dr. Pepper.
I had a feeling you were going to say that.
Yeah. I used to drink Dr. Pepper a lot on the stream. I'm trying to cut back on soda consumption, so I'm drinking a lot of water. Like in the last couple of months, I've been trying to drink a lot of more water than soda. But yeah, Dr. Pepper. Diet Dr. Pepper. So
interesting.
Yeah.
Nice.
Dr. Pepper, great. What about you? I'm curious about that one.
Favorite soda? So I had two. Mine one of my favorite was Coke Zero. I really liked that a lot.
Coke Zero, great.
I also really liked specifically Barks root beer. One of my favorite root beers.
Oh my god!
Ever.
Yeah, I used to be obsessed with Barks root beer when I was a kid, and like it was a weird thing where I guess my mom knew that I loved Barks root beer, and so it was always a treat. It was always a reward.
Oh yeah,
like I was we'll go get you some root beer. If you clean your room, we'll get you root beer. If you do your homework, we get you root beer. It was like the reward for me when I was younger. I loved root beer when I was younger, and so they would never buy the bottles and bring them home. It was always a reward for me.
Exactly. I loved that root beer. I remember it always felt like a reward for me too, because where I lived back in Arkansas, all the stores like gas stations would never have like the bottles, and you'd have to like find it randomly at some gas station, and I'd be like, oh my god, and then I'd be like, this is the gas station that has it, and so. On the rare occasions that I did get it, enjoyed every sip of it. I was
savored it.
Ooh, delicious. Yeah. But now I really don't drink soda like that anymore. The closest that I get to soda is I drink these, I have it here, Ollipops. They're like
the hell is
healthier. They're healthier versions of soda.
There's no such thing. There's no such thing as healthy soda.
It's like it supports digestive health and stuff like that. It's like probiotics. So it's not really soda, but they try to get it to taste near a soda.
Is it just like they carbonate it? Is that what it's really what it is?
Basically.
Okay. Yeah.
But like this one, the vintage cola, really good. They have one that's cherry cola, amazing. They have a Dr. Pepper version called this. You're gonna laugh at it, Dr. Pemberton or something like that.
Nice.
Or Dr. something like that, where it's
Dr.
I love that flavor. Yeah, exactly. So most of the time I'm just drinking that or this other brand called Zevia. I drink that a lot.
Yeah. So, for like carbonated drinks, I drink like the ices, if you know what I'm talking about. Yeah. Those are just like the popular thing. But that's like that's what the closest I get really to. I occasionally have like a Diet Coke these days, but I try to cut back on them and stuff.
Yeah, so I just mostly try to drink water, and then every now and then I have like a Olipop or a Zevia, and it'd be like, doing it for so long now, you just kind of like forget about soda.
Yeah, so. I agree. Like, it's occasionally like when I'm like at the store and something, I'm like, maybe I should get a Dr. Pepper. Maybe. I do have one more question now that I thought about it, and this goes back to the fast round stuff. Mm-hmm. I know you don't really drink too much anymore, but what was your favorite drink? Like alcoholic beverage?
My favorite was probably Coke and rum, I think.
Coke and rum?
Like a Coke and rum. That
simple.
That very simple. I didn't need anything like super like extra, but it was usually like Coke and rum. And if it wasn't that, it'd be like a what is it, like some sort of vodka with like a soda or something. I remember even when I did drink heavier back in like college and stuff, like I would always drink I had to mix. I could never drink straight. It was so rough. But yeah, that those were like my favorite. Nowadays, when on the rare occasions that I do drink, I don't even really drink hard liquor anymore. It's more I'll drink like a hard kombucha. And so those are like the main things.
Nice. Yeah, for me, I'm going on 2 years, I'm going on 3 years sober actually. But for me, it was my go-to was whiskey. Just straight whiskey on the rocks. I loved it.
Yeah. It was something, but yeah, now I just know like my body just can't handle it or wants to deal with that as much anymore. So
I don't even know if my body could handle it now. It's been almost 3 years, so.
Oh yeah, and so, but and then I just enjoy waking up like sober. Like I enjoy just being able to get up and like move around, walk around, versus like my body, like whenever, like if I had like even the lightest of lightest like hangover, like I'm just like, ugh, like that. And you know that you didn't sleep well because of that. It just sucks.
Oh yeah, it's the worst. Like, why were we stupid and thought that was the coolest thing to do when we were younger? To be like, I'm sober, or I'm hungover.
I never understood that at all. But hey,
it's the college mentality, young mentality or something. You're gonna live forever or whatever.
Exactly.
Yeah. All right. Well, I think we got to know you, Ell. Got to know me.
Thank you. Yeah.
This was the first episode of Relax, and Respawn. Yeah. I feel like I'm saying respawn.
You're saying respawn. Respawn. Yeah.
I gotta say respawn. Spawn. I still can't say it. I can't say those words back to back. Relax
Hilarious.
and respawn. There we go.
Yep.
Nice. Wind us down, Ell. Where can they see our other podcast and all that jazz?
Oh yeah. Well, everybody, thanks for tuning in to the first episode of Relax and Respawn. This will be available on Spotify as I work to get it on the other podcast platforms, just everywhere that you get your podcast. You can catch Respawn Please, the video game podcast, if you're into video games. Everywhere it's available on all podcasts, wherever you get them. Follow or subscribe to our YouTube, Respawn Please. Just type into the YouTube search. Make sure you subscribe, hit the bell icon to get notified of future videos. Make sure you also, if you're into anime, we have the other podcast named Review Please Anime Edition, where we talk monthly about anime that we're watching for the month. We just finished up with Trigun Stampede. Next month we got Kakaguri. And so we're watching one every month. Make sure to follow that. Follow us on our social media platforms, Instagram and TikTok at Respawn Please Podcast. And catch us this podcast every month, just like Review Please Anime.
Thank you all so much for joining us today. We'll be back next month on July 7th.
7th. Nice. Just a little bit after 4th of July.
Yeah. So
nice.
Looking forward to seeing everybody then. Have a wonderful June. I'll see y'all later. We'll see you all.
Bye.
I guess we don't see you at all, but you know what? You'll hear us from us later. You know what? I don't know what we're doing. Bye.